So looking at a 60-degree cone, we're going to figure out how to slice the 60-degree cone to form these different shapes. So I'm just going to sketch my 60-degree cone. Okay. So that means that the angle here, the cone angle is 60 degrees. Okay, so if I draw my axis here straight through the middle, this angle in here is going to be 30 degrees. Okay, so then how do we generate a parabola? Well, a parabola is going to be generated by having a slice that is parallel to one of the edges. Okay, so it needs to slice through here. So these two lines need to be parallel, which means then the angle made with the axis is going to be 30 degrees here. Okay, so a 30-degree slice, exactly 30 degrees will form a parabola. So as I increase the slice in this direction, so make the angle of the slice bigger, okay, it will form an ellipse. So anything greater than 30 degrees, okay, I'm going to do this in black. Okay, so any slice like that is going to form an ellipse. Okay, so 30 degrees all the way to 90 degrees. Okay, will form an ellipse. In fact, if we consider a circle ellipse, we would include the 90 degrees, but let's just, for argument's sake, that we're just going to do a non-circular ellipse. Okay, so there it is. For the hyperbola, this is going to be a little bit hard to show with all these lines, but maybe I'll do this in purple. For hyperbola, we need to go in the opposite direction. Okay, so as I increase my slice this way, or decrease the angle or make it more parallel, okay, it's going to slice through the top of the cone. Okay, so maybe I'll just draw a separate picture here for the hyperbola. So we have our 60-degree cone. We have our axis of rotation right through the middle. And as we increase our slice from, this is our parabola, so anything more vertical, okay, so for example something like that, anything more vertical, that's a little bit hard to show. Maybe I need to exaggerate this a little bit. So I'm going to exaggerate this cone of 60 degrees a little bit. And there's my generator, or that's my axis. And as I slice more like that, it's going to slice through the top of that cone. Okay, so it's good. This angle has to be less than 30 degrees. Okay, so from 30 degrees to 0, it's going to then give us this hyperbolic shape. Okay, now it's hard to see what the hyperbolic shape is, because hyperbolic shape does look like a parabola, but it is a more kind of distorted parabola. So anything between 0 degrees, so vertical, okay, and we'll just say it's a non-rectangular hyperbola, so we won't include the 0 degrees, all the way to 30 degrees, we're going to generate a hyperbola. Okay, so let's try one of these problems. We're going to convert this from general form to standard form. Okay. So we're going to want to group these. We're going to group these terms. So we're going to group the x terms together. And we're going to group the y terms together. And I'll just include the minus 198 out here. Okay, in fact, I'm just going to move it to the other side. Equals 198. Okay, so once I've grouped the terms, I want to factor the coefficient and complete the square. So I'm going to x squared plus 6x plus, this is going to be 9 minus, and be careful when we're factoring for these, especially for these hyperbolas, when we factor out the negative. So it's going to be minus y squared, or sorry, plus y squared. That's going to be negative y, okay? Because we factor out the negative 36, that's going to end up being, take a negative out of a positive, we're left with a negative. And that's going to be plus, 0.5 squared. And then we're going to be equal to 198. Okay, so I'm going to complete the square here with these terms. So I'm going to end up with 9. I need to balance that with 4 groups of 9. I'm going to do this one with 1/2 squared. And I need to balance that with 36 groups of 1/4, which is 9. Okay, so I've completed my square, I balanced my expression, and now I'm going to rewrite this in the completed square form. Okay, that allows me to find my vertex. So this is going to be y minus 1/2. Adding this together, this is going to be 45 plus, that looks like, 243. Okay, which I think that's right. Let's see here. Oh, so I've done something wrong here. Just realized what I did wrong. That number looked a little awkward. And I forgot that this is a negative 36 groups of 1/4, so that should be minus. Okay, so let's add this up again. This is going to be minus 27 or plus 27, so we're going to get 225, okay, on that side. Okay, so then when we put this into the graphing form, we're going to divide by 225, and we can see that we're going to end up with a looks like a trans x one. So we're going to end up here with 4x plus 3 squared over 225 minus 36 y minus 1/2 squared over 225 equals 1. Okay, so then we have our completed square form. Now we can figure out what we're doing here with our center. We need our a and b values.